Hello everyone, we are Laura Valentina Nieto León, Karen Dayaran Enrique Castro, and Ivan Francisco Perez Murillo, and today in this video we are going to tell you about our book, Bilingual Policies in Education, the analysis of indigenous languages in Colombian education. Let's start.
In the following part, we are going to talk about the purpose of the law. So, the law aims to protect and promote Colombia's indigenous languages. It also recognizes them as an important part of the country's cultural heritage. Most importantly, it ensures that indigenous people have the right to use and learn in their native language. The key implementation actions are: first, under official recognition, indigenous languages are officially accepted in their own regions. Second, with educational integration, bilingual and intercultural programs have been created to teach both native languages and Spanish. Third, through language revitalization, there are efforts to save and bring back endangered indigenous languages. And finally, in research and documentation, the law supports the studies and recordings of these native languages. Now we go with the bilingualism plan in Colombia. This plan focuses on promoting both Spanish and native languages in indigenous communities. Its main goals are to improve bilingual education in both languages, to train indigenous teachers in special teaching methods, and to create school materials in native languages. It also supports language preservation through schools and community programs. And the impact is that thanks to these efforts, indigenous peoples now have better access to education. At the same time, the country helps to protect its cultural and language diversity, and overall, it strengthens Colombia's identity as a multicultural and multilingual nation.
The creation of this law, Mexico has made significant progress in recognizing its indigenous languages and making them part of the education programs. With the support of the National Institute of Indigenous Languages, whose mission is to preserve, revitalize, and develop the national indigenous languages. Inspired by this model, we propose that Colombia establish a National Institute of Indigenous Languages to act as a governing and regulator body in the formulation of linguistic policies. Also, regional linguistic observatories with the aim to provide technical support to educational institutions, a more structured national bilingual educational policy, and didactic materials in indigenous languages to facilitate their teaching.
In order to strengthen multilingualism and intercultural education in Colombia, we should take into account first the current limitations that we might have around the law. So one of the first limitations is that there is no mandatory application in all the territory. Secondly, there is no a clearly assigned budget. And finally, there is absence of monitoring system around the law. For that, we could also take in mind the international best practices. So we've selected Bolivia, Mexico, and Paraguay, which are countries that are nowadays implementing laws and intercultural and bilingual education legally mandatory for indigenous people. We also propose make intercultural and bilingual education legally mandatory here in Colombia for indigenous regions. Also, we propose guarantee a minimum dedicated budget, and finally create a national monitoring center for native languages.
In order to improve this law, we have proposed a 4-phase action plan which addresses the urgent need to preserve and revitalize indigenous languages through a structured and culturally grounded educational policy. It emphasizes the essential role of language in maintaining cultural identity, fostering inclusive education, and ensuring indigenous rights.
In that sense, we invite you to read our book, and thank you for visiting our site, and thank you for watching our video.